My name is Max Bode, and I am the Athletic Communications GA here at Missouri Western. I've always been very sports inclined, being active, exercising, working out, all that good stuff. Growing up, I've always loved playing soccer. That was my sport, played it competitively all my life. So I thought for this leadership oral report, why not interview the head women's soccer coach here at Missouri Western? And that happens to be Damian Macias. This is his first year at Missouri Western State University. Typically for soccer, the sport is played in the fall. However, due to COVID, we're all used to that phrase. I've said it at some point, due to COVID. So due to COVID, soccer was moved to the spring instead of the fall. So typically in the spring, they're not as busy as they are in the fall. And that's with all sports. You have the seasons and the times that are busy, not so busy, a little bit of an in-between. So this spring was definitely, I would say, a busy one for them. They played what they call the championship season, so there was technically no championship that they were playing for, but they still treated it like a regular season. They happened to get second place in the MIAA. That's good, where they came from last year when it wasn't necessarily the best. So new coach comes in, has some pressure on him, and he, pulls out a good run. So in his day-to-day activities, that's the most obvious thing is dealing with the players. So that's on and off the field. They had an organic schedule is what he liked to call it. So, that's not planned time. So, a player has life issues. Everyone has life issues. So coming to him, coming to his office, texting him, calling him, emailing him at, who knows when. And, he's always takes the time to see what's up with his players and help him in any way which that he can. And then there's that on-field piece, that's managing them. They have 35 girls on the team, on the roster, so that's a big team. So, managing all those girls, that's definitely not a easy task. Takes time and preparation to figure out how they're all doing, what they're all doing, what they all need to do. So, knowing each player, what are they good at, what aren't they good at, what do they need to get better at. And, that the other piece to that is injuries. Injuries are common. So it's like managing that, make sure preventing them and whatnot. With injuries, it's like, who needs to go see the trainer? Like, who can practice? What does our strength training look like? For practices, it's, you're always planning a practice every day. So, because, it's not something you just like, oh, practice. Practice is a time to get better. That's where you get better. So, he's taking time always to figure out, what are we doing for practice? What can we do to get better? And that's in the other part of that, he has an assistant coach, a graduate assistant, and 2 volunteer assistants. So managing them, making sure everyone's on the same page and everyone's doing what they need to do. Not even a micromanagement type thing. It's, everyone's on board. Everyone's, following what they need to be doing. And then, the final piece to, his day-to-day activities, it's, his office is an office, essentially. There's admin pieces, there's behind-the-scenes work that you don't see, that the players don't see. Scheduling an away game that seems really simple on the surface. However, underneath of it, there's a budget you have to deal with. There's, who's traveling, who's not traveling. What are you taking? Are you taking a charter bus? Are you gonna rent vans? Are you gonna use a school van? There's a lot of things, once you get there, like, you got to feed the kids. What are we eating? How much does that cost? So there's a lot of stuff that, day to day that, he's going through, keeping on his mind. And the final piece is recruiting. That's huge for all coaches, recruiting, and especially for him. It's his first time recruiting for schools. So it's the first time he's bringing in players. So that's definitely huge. You want to bring in players that see the same thing as you, have the same philosophy as you, and some of the key things that it seems that he looks for in players, it's athleticism. That's huge, especially in soccer. Skill, and then just simple, like, how good of a person are you? Or can you people get along with you? Do you have, are you vibe with the coaches? Are you vibing with everyone? Like, your mindset, is it there? Are you on board? Are you ready to compete? Just overall, like, your the person's qualities, and is that something that he wants to bring to the team and the culture. And in setting up the visits, like, I know when I talked with him, they had a visit set up for this Friday, but as I was leaving, I heard, oh, it's getting switched to Monday. So it's like, backed again about that organic schedule. It's constantly changing. It's never like set. All of a sudden something comes up, and I was only there for like 30 minutes, and there was already a big change and stuff. So it's constantly changing schedule, day-to-day activities. And when we got into talking about the leadership piece, I saw a lot of similarities between my viewpoint on leadership, communication, and even some topics that we have discussed in the lecture throughout this course. As a leader, Damien really emphasized, you need to know where you want to go. Like, if you're a leader and you don't know where you want to go, like, how are you gonna lead? Simple as that. So not only where you want to go, what do you want to do, like, when you go in there? Having goals, having expectations. For the players, he really emphasized having reasonable expectations and not making sure they're not unrealistic, which, it makes sense. Like, you want to have reasonable expectations. You want to push people to get them better, but you don't want to have anything unattainable. You want to progressively get better. Like, today, on the fitness test, let's get to level 15. Next week, let's get to 15.5. It's progressively, not off the jump saying, hey, let's get to level 20 on the first day. I mean, that can be a goal, but it's keeping it reasonable, working your way up to it. As a leader, like, I really noticed that, he doesn't view it as like a cheerleader type of thing. It's not a micromanagement type of thing. And so it's really, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to get. And like, he like leaves it up to like the players, the coaching staff to like really figure it out. It reminds me a lot of self-managing teams. Yes, there's a boss, and then here's what we need to do, and then you got to take some initiative upon yourselves to figure it out and get it done. He's not going to sit there and tell you this. He really wants you to figure it out. So if he says something, he wants you to figure it out. And if you don't know, then take the time to figure it out. Like, be creative. Like, try to figure it out. And at the end of the day, if you can't figure it out, that's what he's there for. He's there to help, and he wants to help you. But by not necessarily telling you right away, that's helping you, become more creative, figure out solutions. Because in soccer, on the field, he isn't gonna be able to tell you exactly what to do and whatnot. You got to figure it out for yourself. So it's teaching them, like, getting the games. This isn't gonna be how it's be. You're gonna be out there, and you're gonna have to figure it out. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm sure it can relate in other aspects not relating to sports, but obviously he has a sports mind, and that's great. You need one for his position. When it comes to talking to subordinates, there's this norm of honesty. That's really, and it seems so simple, but yet it seems like it works. He's honest, what he's saying, what he's thinking, and then that feedback that he gets back. You want that to be honest and whatnot too. So it's a two-way street. Like, there's give, there's take, and there's two-way street. And just being clear and what he says. Like, yes, you can say stuff and it might not necessarily be clear at the moment, but there's always that time for questions to get more clarity. A neat way that Damien is communicating with his staff is through a Google spreadsheet, which can be like accessed anywhere by anyone on the coaching staff since they all have access to it. Just like virtual teams, they don't all have to be in the same spot, which is convenient, and it can be updated wherever they are, whatever they're doing, and not having to be in the same spot, which that's very convenient. In this Google spreadsheet, it lists the rules and expectations and daily responsibilities for each coach. So that right there, that eliminates that, like, oh, having to go back and talk to him about something. They can just reference the spreadsheet, and that is really beneficial to Damien, so he can continue his day-to-day activities without being interrupted by something that he might have already went through. And then within the spreadsheet, the day-to-day activities, some activities require more steps. So underneath the some activity might be a whole nother list of other to-dos that need to be done, like game day, like what do you have to do on game day, like what A, B, C, D. And that's just really beneficial for everyone, and that's a neat way that how they communicate and just be more efficient. My final thoughts on Damien and his view on leadership, communication, and just how the ship that he's running. And overall, I really like it. I think there's some really good stuff that ties in with exactly what organizational communication is all about. And the type of communication and leadership style he has, it's very open for the subordinates underneath him, the staff, his players. And the key thing is, what I've noticed is that open communication. He has that, you can come in there at any time, talk to him, and just have simply a discussion about what's going on, what needs to be done, and he's there to reinforce stuff he's said, and really allow players to have some freedom and initiative to really go on and do stuff and take what he says and make it their own, and become like the best version of themselves. I'd be really interested to see in a year, maybe next year, like after like a full year that he's been in there, see if anything's changed, if he's added anything, how the program is doing, like even relate, like how does his leadership and communication correlate to this season. Like, was it good, was it bad, did it stay the same? But yeah, I really enjoyed talking with him, and thank you very much.